Welcome to DeFi Finder 2.10, when imagination meets reality and becomes one. Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the best visualization software. Yes, the best real-time visualization software in the market right now, DeFi Finder. And we're going to be going through their 2.10 update, exploring some of its features and exploring what it can do. Okay, firstly, let's talk about what DeFi Finder is. So there are classes of softwares called visualization softwares, and within those visualization software there is a class called real-time visualization software. So those real-time visualization softwares are mainly known for giving you real-time effect of what you want your scene to look like. You give it and it shows you the real-time effect of what you gave it. So DeFi Finder, I would argue with you, is the best in real-time rendering softwares right now. So we're going to be exploring what exactly it can do. So DeFi Finder can be defined by three main things. Quality, which comes with its ray tracing ability to execute quality renders and quality animations. Time saving, which is the ability to give those quality animations and renders in a short period of time compared to any other rendering software. And finally, affordability, which is its cheap cost compared to its other competitors and other visualization software. I'm going to go into further details in this video, and you're going to see why, if you have not started using DeFi Finder, you have been missing a lot. So stay tuned and join me as we explore DeFi Finder 2.10 and see what it can do. Okay, we're going to talk about some key highlights in DeFi Finder. The first is RT ray tracing and RT ray tracing part. So this is a technology that gives DeFi Finder the upper hand in realism in render. So it also gives you top-notch realism as well as exquisite speed. So if you are looking for that rendering software that can get the best quality at a short time, DeFi Finder is the best in this. Like, if you understand how to use DeFi Finder, you can almost do anything. So many other competitors or many other visualization software, they have also tried incorporating ray tracing, but I don't think, and I've used a lot of visualization softwares. I don't want to start mentioning any names for conflict of interest, but I can tell you for certain that among all the rendering softwares I've used, in terms of ray tracing and real-time effect, DeFi Finder is the absolute best. I'm telling you, it packs a punch. So let's also talk about another very wonderful feature of DeFi Finder. DeFi Finder offers a vast library. By vast, I mean really vast. And this library, they keep updating it week in, week out. You see new updates, new components, very realistic. And if you look at how these components are, they are very wonderful. So you can get the best components at your convenience. So if you are looking for cars, you don't need to actually look for cars from other software. You can use DeFi Finder cars. They are very realistic and very useful. The animation is top notch. The interface is so simple to use, and I swear you're going to love it. DeFi Finder also offers advanced environmental control. So if you're using DeFi Finder and you look at the interface, you're going to see that you have different options to control your scenery and environment. You can use the custom song, you can use HDRIs, you can even download HDRIs, you can even use AI effect. So there are a lot of things that you can do with DeFi Finder. So this gives much control needed in visualization, and it gives you control, because the most important thing in visualization is having that control over the effect you want to create. And DeFi Finder, with the more updates that keeps coming out, they keep getting better and better at this. So DeFi Finder is also known for its compatibility with different 3D softwares. If you're a Revit user, yes, you can still use DeFi Finder. If you're an ArchiCAD user, you are good to go. If you're a Blender user, very wonderful. If you're a 3ds Max user, you are very wonderful. And if you have all this software and you have a lot of knowledge of these different 3D softwares, you can work with many of them simultaneously. Like for me personally, I work with Revit and 3ds Max, so I can get 3ds Max components and bring it to DeFi Finder and use it at the same time, use some Revit components, which is a very good stuff for me. So DeFi Finder has exquisite AI features. So these AI features include the in-painting. So this in-painting, what it does is that you can add some AI generated sky effect to your renders after you've rendered the images. You can add some greeneries to give it some different type of vegetation style, and this adds to the richness of your render. You can also use some other effects such as motion blur for your vehicles. So if you render an image where you have a lot of vehicles there, you can use the motion blur AI tool to add some motion blur. You can also add some basic effect like denoising effect and sharpening effect. So this makes post-production within D5 render, and you don't even need to use external softwares like Photoshop for your post-production. So D5 render is really an amazing software, and I recommend you use it. You can even use the general AI enhancer. So what this does is that it adds richness to your renders after you're done rendering with D5 render. With one click or a few clicks, you can enhance the quality of your renders using D5 render. So I think this is wonderful, and I urge you to make sure you check it out. One of the special features of D5 render I really enjoy is the fact that it can generate city terrain features. Okay, so what this tool does is that if you are doing a project in, let's say, a context like, let's say, Sudan or Kenya, you can go to D5 render. It's going to be able to pick out the site, just input the location. Once you input the location, it's going to be able to pick out the site you want and just download and create the context with the building footprint. Then you can now put and render your project into context. Let's address the elephant in the room, which is pricing. So D5 render is one of the most affordable rendering softwares. If you have been following me on this channel, I've done a comparison of visualization software. And in that comparison, one of the factors I put into play was the cost. So D5 render is very affordable, even for us that are in third world countries. D5 render, I think a month is $36, then a year is $360 or $320 or so. So it's still within the affordable range considering what it offers, because what it offers is just on another level. So at this point in this video, I want to call you into action. Go and download D5 render. You can follow my link in the description below to support the channel. D5 render is the future of visualization. Make sure you go and download it and start using it. So further into this video, I'm going to be doing a D5 render full course. So it's going to basically show you my workflow using D5 render, and I'm going to be executing a luxury hotel. So you're going to be seeing how I'm going to be starting this hotel project from Autodesk Revit, which is the software I use, to D5 render to create stunning renders and animation. And I'm going to show you all the AI features, how you can use them. So stay tuned for that. Your expectation, you won't be disappointed. So let's check out some other features of D5 render and see why it's the best visualization software. Alright, so once again, I would like to welcome you to this full D5 course, and I'm going to be using this hotel project you're seeing on the screen to take you through on how to use D5 render. So D5 render is a very amazing software, and I guarantee you are not going to regret following this video. So I'm going to be using this hotel. If you are not familiar with this hotel, it was a hotel I used for a Revit full course video. So if you're also interested in learning how to design a model using Autodesk Revit, you can check that video out. So with that out of the way, let's go to D5 render and open it first. So for you to get D5 render, you need to go to d5render.com. So in that d5render.com, you'll be given options to download D5 render. You'll also be given other options to download D5 render plugins, which is why you're seeing D5 render on my Revit interface here, because I downloaded the D5 render to Revit plugin. Okay, so all that is on their website. The link to their website will be in the description below. So once you open D5, the first thing to do is to log in your details here or sign up your details, whichever, whether you are new to it, you sign up. If you have already signed up before, you log in. Okay, so now that is out of the way, I need to bring some important things you need to come in for this tutorial with. The first thing is you need a decently or powerful system. Okay, by decent I mean the minimum of a system with a GPU of, let's say, RTX 3060, because anything below D5 render will just be running this, so with much difficulty on your system. So I suggest a decent or a mid GPU or a very powerful GPU. Okay, so we are looking at powerful systems here for you to run D5. Aside from that, I'm also going to need you to bring your mind to this video, like open your mind for this video, because I'll be trying to condense a lot of information about different aspects. So you should have your model or have a model you'll be using to practice as you watch this video, because I feel people learn best when they are practically
doing what they are learning. Okay, so now that is out of the way, I think we're going to start with running D5. So the first thing to do once you open D5 interface such as this is just to click on new, and you're going to create a new file. While the file is opening, you can go back to your modeling software and you can now start deliberating on how you are going to bring the model into D5 render. So the thing has opened a new file, and if my mic can capture it, you are going to hear my system. There is already stirring up, like the fans are already stirring up from the processing. Okay, so we're now going to go back to Revit here, and we're going to open this project. So in terms, once you have installed the D5 render to Revit Live Sync, you're going to see this D5 render icon appearing on your screen. Okay, so we can do the longer way or the easier way. Okay, personally I'm a fan of the longer way, but for this particular video I'm just going to show you the easier way for you to get the convenience of D5 render. So we're just going to click on Start D5, and it's going to live sync this project in Revit to D5 render. So you are going to see it's now going to, if we open D5 and just wait for a moment, it's going to appear. All right, so as you can see, we have brought in the hotel to D5 render. So you can see all the materials came in. So one thing to note is your render is always as good as your model. So before rendering, it's always good to model very well. Model, apply materials in the modeling software, at least differentiate the materials. So once you come into a rendering software, you'll be able to apply it as freely as you want. So you can see this as just as simple as that. We have brought in this model to D5. Even though I have some problems with this model, I feel it might be too heavy, because if I go inside and zoom in into one of the spaces, okay, there's no WC inside. So I think it imported just fine. All right, so this is wonderful, and I think we'll start rendering. So let's talk about the interface of D5 render. So I'm going to briefly explain the interface. So I'm just going to give you a rough idea of what this whole thing means and what is what before we now go into the navigation. So this is where you have the object panel and the imported panel. This shows the objects currently existing in the D5 render file, and this shows the imported object. Okay, so we didn't import any object the traditional way. So the imported tab is empty, the object is empty. So these are the layers. Layers are basically like what I'll call them planes of existence. So when you start working with light, you can put them in different layers, and you can hide each layer depending on what you want to hide. So it gives you this free control over your visualization. So this is the scene tab. So if we have not yet created any scene, but for example, if we click on this plus icon, we have created a scene, and in this scene we can render this scene later. Okay, but we're still going to delete this scene. As you can see, I can just right click and click on delete to delete a scene, and click delete. So now this tab here, if you click on this menu is important. This is the main menu of D5 render. It has the files, the edit, the view, insert, tools, windows, help, preference, assets, and some other stuff. So these are basically like some things you need for files, where you can create new files, open previous files, and all that stuff. You can also click on edit to undo some things you have done. That is Ctrl+Z basically. So these are just shortcuts and tools you need. Okay, so now this is the import tab. So if we exported the traditional way in D5 render, which I'm still going to show you after I explain this, and you can just click on this, and you're going to navigate through your file explorer to get the exported file you exported from your modeling software. So let's click on cancel for now. So this is now the asset library. If you click on it, a library is going to come out of materials, models, particles, scatter, HDRIs, and terrain maps. Okay, so this is just the library of D5 where you can get tools you need and when you want them. Okay, so this top here is the light. This is the part tool, which you can draw parts of cars, station, and even people moving in a part. You can create those tools with those part tools, so you can see all of them. So this is the brush tool, where you can brush some green area, brush some grasses. So all these tools, you are going to see all of them practically. So this is now the environmental tab. You have the environment, the effect, and inspection. So this environment basically controls how the environment basically, as it says, you can change the sun angle, change the cloud amount, increase it, reduce it, increase the thickness, increase the density, and those stuff. You have the effect here. This effect, you can change the effect like the exposure, the highlight, the contrast. You can change a lot of those stuff. So that is what basically it means. So the inspection, what the inspection does is that if you select anything like maybe the materials, it's going to show you the characteristics of the materials. Like you can see this, we have selected, left clicked on this material, selected it, and we can see the characteristics of them in this inspector tab. So this is now the AI processing. Okay, this is when you have rendered, you can now use this. This is the rendering interface where you can render a scene. Like you can see, you just selected this since we don't have any scene. This is the animation interface where you can create animations. We are going to get to all these tools, and this is the render queue where after you have set views for animation and rendering, you can set them in queue, so you will not need to render them one by one after the other. Okay, so with this out of the way, I believe you understand to a very small extent what this whole thing means, even though we are still going to touch each of them as we work on this project. The next thing we're going to do is to save this project, which is very important. So to save project in D5 Render, you hit Ctrl S, and we are just going to navigate to where we want to save the project in our file explorer. And let's just save it as hotel. Then we're just going to click on save, and it's going to save the project. All right, so now we are going to talk about navigation. So you have been seeing me moving around a bit, and I'm sure you might be confused, but don't worry, I'm here for you. So navigation in D5 is pretty much very simple. To navigate, you are just going to move your mouse to this tab here, click on this drop down, and you're going to see the options. You can either set it at orbit or fly or walk. Okay, so let's start from orbit first. So orbit is basically you right click on a point. Then once you right click on that point, you hold the point, then move your mouse from left. Remember, right click, hold, and move it. So this is how you move in orbit. To zoom in, move the scroll button on your mouse, zoom out, scroll back, scroll in to move in, scroll backwards, zoom in, zoom out. Then right click, hold, and just navigate here. You get. Okay, so that is one option of navigation. So we're going to click on this and change this to fly, which is my favorite. We can control the speed of fly by going to this tab here, increasing or reducing it to increase or reduce the speed. Then you can zoom in, zoom out, and just zoom into these spaces here and zoom out of these spaces like a ghost. So I enjoy this one more. Okay, so walk is just similar to fly. The only thing is you are walking. So the same stuff, simple and direct. You can even switch. Okay, you can go up, you are just on the ground. So this kind of helps when you want to pick perspective views, okay, or close to ground perspective views, which we will still do later. Okay, all right, so we are going to talk about camera views now. So the whole aim of picking a camera view is to present the best view possible you can get, or the best set of views possible you can get for a project. So for this kind of view, for this kind of building that has an L shape, if we simply just go here, I don't think it looks so good. So we're first going to go to a favorable angle, which in my opinion is this angle here. Okay, then we're now going to adjust some things. So this perspective view, it has some potential, but it has a lot of flaws now, because the building is too far and it's just not it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on this camera angle, and we're going to go here, click on this, and change this to 70. Okay, I always start from 70. Then we're going to left click, hold, and we're just going to move our camera up and try to just get it to this point here. Then we're now going to click on F8 on our keyboard to get the 2-point perspective view. Okay, or we can just simply go over to camera, and we can just simply go to here and click on this F8, and it's going to give it a 2-point perspective. Then we're just going to adjust this view here till we get something like this. Then we're going to zoom out. We're going to click on this drop down, click on fly, change this to fly, reduce the speed to 1, then click on E on our keyboard. So this E is like a navigation tool, keyboard navigation to go down here. Then once we click on A and we try and centralize the building. So the aim of picking perspective, my aim when I pick perspective is I try to make the building the center of focus. So we're going to try and make sure the distance here, up and down are almost the same, that the building are the center of the shot. So I think we have nailed it for this one. Can go down a bit more. I like my perspective grabbing the environment well. Then once we have reached this point, I think this is looking beautiful. We are going to click on create new scene. Okay, so we are now going to pick another scene similar to this. We are just going to go over to this camera. We are going to increase this angle speed here. Okay, not this angle speed, sorry. We are going to change this back to 70. Click on enter. We are going to go back to this display, or sorry, this camera movement, increase the speed here, and simply click on A button on your keyboard. So we are just going to move. Then while clicking on A, we are going to be like right clicking and changing the camera view to this point here. So we are going to get a perspective view from here. So I think I'm now going to click on this, reduce the speed, and click E on my keyboard to go down till I get something like this. Okay, I think this view is wonderful, and I'm going to click on create new scene. So now we are now going to pick an aerial view. For this, I'm going to click on P to exit the 2-point perspective setting. Then I'm going to click on this fly. I'm now going to increase the speed. Then I'm going to zoom up first, right click, look down, and I'm now going to zoom out to get an aerial view. But to get a proper aerial view, I'll always suggest you click on this camera angle and change this to, let's use 45 degrees or 50 degrees. Okay, then after using 50 degrees, we're now going to just zoom in and zoom out and get an angle from here, trying to grasp this entry road like this. Then I'm now going to click finish. Okay, so now I think this is all for picking camera shots. Now we're now going to import the fences. Alright, so we are back at our Revit file. So I modeled some fences in this Revit file. So what I'm simply going to do is I'm just going to select this whole model. Then I'm going to click on HH on my keyboard. So I'm just going to hide it in view. HH is temporary hide, so it's just going to quickly hide everything in view now. Okay, once this is done, I guess this is what is left. So what I'm now going to do is now I'm now going to click on this reveal hidden element. Then I'm now going to select this fence here, and I'm going to right click on hide in view by element. Then I'm going to click on this. Okay, so basically what I'm now going to do is I'm going to select this, select all instances in entire project. Then I'm just going to right click, hide in view by element. Do the same for this, select this, select all instances in entire project, hide in view by element. So now we have this fence. Now the first thing I'm going to do is to click on this 3D gizmo here, drag this center point to this place here, and click on close. So I'm now going to be using the normal export method for this, which instead of start D5 render, stop D5 render or sync model, we're just going to click on export. We're going to increase the export smoothness to make sure the quality. Leave all this unchecked. Click on export. Then we're going to go to the same folder where we kept it. So we're just going to call this F1, which basically means fence 1. And we are going to save it. So once we do this export, we are now going to do the same export for the remaining of the fences. Alright, so now this is done. We are going to now import them to D5. To do that, we are simply going to click on import. Okay, sorry, we are going to click on this import here. Then we are going to see the fences. They are going to appear as .d5a as we exported them from Autodesk Revit. Then we are going to select all 4 of them, click on import. Then they are going to come under this imported tab here. Then we are going to click on T to access the top view. We are going to click on this F1, that is the fence 1, and we are going to zoom in and place it here where it's supposed to be. So we're just going to place it here for now, but still going to arrange it. We're going to click on F2 and we're going to place this here. We're going to click on F4, supposed to be F3 but I made a mistake. Place this here and F44 and place this. So now we have placed this. Now we're going to click on escape. Then we're now going to click on these object tabs. Then we're going to see everything from the building to all the F1, F2, F3 and F44. So now we're going to zoom in. We're going to click on this F1, click on this move and move this to this edge here and try to just match this with the fence. So if the thing is looking too bloomy like this, you can go under effect, you can turn off this auto exposure, scroll down and go to this bloom amount and reduce it, so you are going to be seeing things much clearer. And you can even reduce this exposure if it helps. So let's just organize this to where it's meant to be. Click on this fence at this corner here, then just try and drag it to match this point here. Do the same for this and drag this to this point here. Then click on this and do the same here. So let's talk about materials in D5 render. So materials are very simple and straightforward to apply in D5. So we're just going to make sure this is at fly and we increase our navigation speed. So I'm going to go to asset. Then in this asset library is categorized into different types of materials. So we're going to start from the site materials and we're now going to go to the building materials. So quickly, once you get some site materials for this outdoor pavement, we're simply going to scroll down to this outdoor general and we're going to see some options. So this exterior paving 114 is one of my favorites. So I'm going to click on it and I'm just going to apply it here. So once you apply it, it's going to come with this red finish, which I don't like rather. So I'm going to edit it and I'm also going to edit some other properties of the material. So I'm going to click on escape, click on I, select this material. I is the shortcut to activate material editor. So once I click on it, you're now going to see under this inspector, you're going to see the properties of this material. Firstly, we're going to adjust the scale. To do that, we're going to scroll down, go under this stretch, zoom into the material, so we are going to be looking at it well, and we're just going to reduce the value of this number. We can click left click, hold and drag it to increase, or we move it sideways, it increases or reduces it. So I'm just going to reduce the value to about this point where I feel the pavement side is okay. I think it's too big a bit, so I'm going to just adjust it till I feel it's fine. So after doing this, we're now going to go over to this and we're going to go to this base color map. So this base color map is where you can edit some properties of the colors and the appearance of the material. So I'm just going to click on this more settings here and I'm going to reduce this S value here. So it's going to desaturate it because I don't like the fact that it's red. So I'm going to desaturate it completely and make this 5. That is +5 to increase the brightness a bit, or make it just 3. Then make it 3 so it will not be too washed up. Then go to this base color, click on this gray and change it to white. Okay, so now we have given this place some white out. So we are now going to apply an asphalt material. So I'm going to be using this material to show you can also bring in materials from outside D5 to D5. So the first thing I did was to go to freepbrmaterials.com. The link to this website will be in the description below. So they have a lot of nice PBR materials, and I downloaded an asphalt material. So you can just simply do the same by looking for asphalt and download it. Okay, so after getting the materials you want to get, let me just show you the asphalt material. This particular one was the one I downloaded. You just click on it and download. I believe you can figure that part out on your own. Okay, so we are going to click on this. Once you have selected this, we're now going to go to this base color map and we're just going to click on this bitmap. Then it's going to open. So we are going to navigate through your file explorer to find where you downloaded the folder of the PBR material we are using. So that free PBR, it comes with different kind of bitmaps you are going to use to make it as detailed as possible. So we're going to click on this and replace this and click OK. Click on this normal section, click on this normal bitmap, select the normal bitmap provided by the what you downloaded and replace it. This specular, we can right click and delete this. Click on this roughness and select this height PBR, select this AO and select this now. So now, and after doing this, we're now going to go back to click on this base color, click on this color and reduce the darkness to somewhere gray. Then we're going to scroll down, we're going to click on this UV randomizer, check it on. Then we're going to reduce the specularness. So we're now going to reduce this value to increase the scale of this asphalt road. So we're just going to reduce it to 0. Impute this value at 0.025. And it's going to come out as something like this. Okay, so I think this is pretty more realistic for an asphalt road. So now we are going to now go to the green area, okay, before we now go into the building. So for the green area, it's very simple to apply green area in D5 render. We're going to click on asset, then we're going to go to this natural raw material. So once we go to this natural raw material, we're going to scroll up and we're going to we're going to scroll down and we're going to be looking for this particular dry deciduous woodland, and we're just going to apply this material here. So after doing this now, we're going to click on escape, click on I, select this material editor, then just turn on this scroll down and look for, since it's displaced, we can just click on this drop down and change this to custom, then scroll down and turn on this UV randomizer. Okay, so after doing this for this material, we're now going to go under model. We're now going to go under nature. We're now going to scroll down and go to ornamental grass. So once we have selected this ornamental grass, we're now going to activate the brush tool. Click on this brush here. You can see that brush icon at this corner. We're now going to increase the radius to the maximum. We're going to increase the density to about 80% or 85%. We're now going to reduce the size to about 20% here. 20% this random size. Then we're now going to scroll down and we're going to select some grass we are going to use. So the first one we're going to be selecting is this one. We're going to just select this grass here and we're just going to apply the paint or the brush. So it's going to take some time due to the fact that we have a lot of green areas in this project, but done this now, where we can now add something. This grass is not yet complete. We still need to add some different other grasses on it. We're going to uncheck this and we're going to look for some other type of grasses. So we can download this one and we are now going to go over. We are still using the brush tool, mind you. We're going to now reduce the density to about, let's say, very minute, and we're going to apply and add this. Okay, this isn't looking nice, so we can always click on this erase, increase the radius of the erase, and also do the same, but make sure only the one you want to erase is selected in this brush tool. So we can just uncheck this. We can now check other options like this one, increase the density to about half, then apply this too. Uncheck this, scroll up, select this, reduce the density to almost 0, reduce the size as well, and place this here. Okay, so I think so far this is looking like a fair green area. We can also do the same for this. Uncheck this too and place this as well. So it will just make this a very nice realistic grass. So I'm going to click on escape and close this. So we have applied a lot of the side components, even though this green area. So now for this kind of background, because we have a background base for this project where the grass is like the background grass, so to apply green area in a, will I call it a sustainable way for this project, we're going to click on I, select this, then we're now going to use this the other way of applying green area in D5 render. We're going to click on this drop down and we're going to be selecting this grass. So once we select the grass, it's going to load for some time before it applies it. So let's give it a second. So what we're now going to do is we're now going to zoom into the green area and I'm going to tell you the right one to select. So we're going to click on this second green area instead of this first one that looks like this. Okay, so after we have selected this, we're now going to click on this base color map and we're going to click on this bitmap here. So we're now going to go, another material I downloaded from the free PBR website is this patchy PBR. So we're just going to select this bitmap here and we're going to click OK. So after selecting this bitmap, we are going to zoom out so we can see the bitmap clearly. If we zoom in, you are going to still see the grass. Okay, so once we zoom out, we are now going to click on this random UV and we are going to reduce the value till it's somewhat big to this scale. Let's say something like this, and I think this is looking awesome. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to apply basically reflective surfaces. So let's say we want to, by default, if you import if you apply materials in Revit very well, you apply glass materials, the D5 automatically gives it some glass material, a glassy material like this, but you can adjust this. So I'm going to select this glass here. I'm going to scroll up, click on this base color and reduce the tintedness, that is this color, towards gray. Okay, then I'm going to increase this specular to increase the reflectiveness and increase the reflectiveness a bit. So instead of wasting my time and doing it for other glass materials, I can click on duplicate. I can paste this here, paste this here as well, so you can see the glass materials is applying through other glass materials. So also you can also apply different kind of glass materials. For instance, I want to apply a special kind of glass material for this design here. So I'm going to go to asset, I'm going to go to materials. Under materials, I'm going to go to where there is glass, so I'm going to scroll and look for glass. Okay, so once you see glass, we are now going to try this frosted hammer glass, and I'm just going to apply it here. Okay, so once you apply it, you are going to see the texture here and it looks very nice. So I'm going to click on I, select this, increase the scale and reduce the scale to it suits me the best. So you can see you can also apply different kind of other materials like metallic material like gold, bronze. Like if you want to apply bronze here, you can select all those materials. It's very easy and just simple and direct. So that is just basically how versatile D5 material library gives the versatility D5 material library gives us. So we can try different options, different materials to see the best that suits the project we want to execute. So I'm just going to apply a copper material to this. Okay, so now we are now going to go finally to the water material, because I think this is a very important aspect to cover. So you can also apply materials you modeled and turn them to water materials. The first thing to do is that we'll need to hide this base that is blocking this swimming pool well, because this base is kind of, if you go to this object tab, is kind of the terrain. So we can just click on this to hide it in view. So we are not going to be able to see our pool very well. So to make this pool material water, we can click on I, select this material, simply go up to this material template, click on this drop down, and we're going to change this to water. So once you change it to water, you have your pool. So you can change the color of the pool. You can adjust it towards darker blue, lighter blue, or whatever kind of blue you want. You can even make it red if you want, but let's stick with blue. Make it darker blue or lighter blue. We can increase the depth. If you increase the depth, you see the bottom of the pool becomes darker. So we can reduce it and just adjust it to where we want. We can even increase the scale of the flow. You can reduce it. You can go to this normal and increase the height of the waves, or reduce it, or make it totally flat if you want to. So let's just adjust it to an appropriate level. So this is basically how to manipulate pools in AutoRevit. So I think basically we have covered all you need to know about materials in D5 render. The other things is just basically finishing it up. Like if you want to apply some roof materials, we can always go to asset library. We can go under roof and we can see some nice roofing options. We can use different kind of roof tiling, whatever we want to use for this. So in D5 render, you can also apply emissive properties to some materials. For instance, we have this material here. It was modeled to be an LED light for this hotel. So we're just going to select it. We're going to click on this emissive property. We're going to change the value to about 100. Set the color to warm temperature, because I like my emissive strip lights warm and strong. So you can see how it comes out, and it comes out very nice. We're going to even apply some wooden materials, so we can apply wooden materials here as well. And let's just click on materials, look for wood. So I think this is suitable, this dark brown oak, and we're just going to use it and apply material. So this is a wooden panel. I'm going to click on it, select this, adjust some of the properties and make it look much better. We can also go and turn on this round corner settings to just add to the realism of materials you apply in D5 render. You can reduce the value to control the amount. but so far I think it adds a very nice effect to it, and you can see how much better this building looks with this. Okay, so I think that is all for material application in D5 render. We are now going to go into the composition of our D5 render environment and some tips and tricks you can use to make your render much better. So now we are going to be working on the composition of this project, and usually I divide composition into the lighting aspect, the vegetation, the entourage, and the background buildings. So we are going to start from the lighting. So for lighting, I usually create a layer separate for lighting. This is where the layer tool comes in. So I'm just going to click on this icon here, and then I'm going to scroll down. I can click on this point here and just drag this so I can see the layer as well. Right click, and I'm going to rename this 01 or 02 lighting layer, or we can just call this lighting. So once we have created this layer, we are going to click on P. Then we are going to start placing some rectangular lights within this building. So once we to place rectangular lights, we need to go inside the building. Okay, so once we go inside the building, we can see some interior parts. We are going to go over to this light icon here, click on add light, then click on rectangular light. Then we're just going to place this rectangular light here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on this drop down, and we're going to change this to lighting layer, changing the layer of the rectangular light. Then we're going to edit some of its properties. So we're going to firstly change this gizmo here, lock this gizmo, and change the size to, let's say, 3 meter, that is 3000. Okay, then we will click on it again. We are going to now increase the intensity to 75. Then we're going to increase the temperature towards 1, and we're going to also increase the attenuation radius to 15,000. Then we're going to click on T. T is to get an orthographic plan view in D5 render, so we're going to be using it to place this light well in the floor. Okay, so if you hit P again, we are going to just look at where this light is. This light is at the ceiling of our ground floor, so we're just going to click on T. So we just need to have that in mind, the location of the light that is appropriate. So now I'm now going to click on this display icon, and I'm going to change this to wireframe. So after changing this to wireframe, I'm now going to drag this rectangular light. Okay, so another thing you need to learn about in composition is how to move stuff in D5 very well. So if you look at this, you can see we have these two arrows, then this circle in the middle. So this circle is to move something on a horizontal plane, and this arrow is to move it in one direction and the other direction. If you click on P and we change this display back to normal, you are going to see that you see this box gizmo in the middle. So this is to move this dynamically on any 3D plane. So if you click on the box and hold, left click and hold, you can just move it on any plane you want. But once we have placed this on the ceiling, we can now use this directional gizmo here to just drag it down towards this point here. So we can go back to T, which is the top view. We are going to click on display again and change this to wireframe. So we are going to click on this and drag this to this wing. So we are going to be using one big light for each wing and seeing if it will work, because the fewer lights we use, the more optimized the project is. So we are going to just uncheck this, click on this, and make sure this line is crossing this. So we are going to increase this X to, let's say, 5,000 or 7,000, or we can even increase it more to 25,000. Then after increasing it, we are going to increase the width to about 7,000. So we're just going to drag this and place this here. And we are going to make sure that from this orthographic view, you can see the plan view. We are going to make sure this light doesn't come out through any window. So we are going to stop the edge just close to where the toilet window is and make sure it doesn't exceed it. We are going to drag this backwards. We are going to hold Shift 2 and duplicate this. So once you hold Shift and you select any of this direction, it's going to duplicate. So we're just going to hold Shift, duplicate this light here at this wing too. So let's adjust this light here. So after this, we're going to hold Shift again and just rotate this horizontally to the other wing and just basically place the same way. So now I've done this, I'm going to click on P and I'm going to click on this display and change it back to this real quality. So now you can see, even from the outside, you can see all the lights coming out of the building very well, and this was the intended effect. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to this object tab. So we're going to hold shift, select one of these lights, scroll down to where the last light is, hold shift, select all of them, make sure they are under this lighting layer. Then I'm just going to right click and I'm going to click on group, and I'm just going to right click to rename this group. So I'm just going to be calling it floor lighting, floor indoor lights. So after creating this light, I'm just going to hold this here and hold shift to duplicate it to different floors, and just from here duplicate it to this floor here. And do the last one for this last floor. Okay, so now I think we're done with the lighting. You can see that we have some issue with some of these groups. So we can just click on each group and just adjust it by clicking on the group, click on this drop down, select the last lights or the lights that are giving the issue, then just adjust it. And we're going to just basically do the same for each of them. So in the same fashion, we're going to also be plating some street lights. So we're going to be using the D5 Pro street light. So you're just going to open the asset library and you're going to click on online model. Then we're just going to search for street lights. Okay, so once you search for street light, you click on enter, then you're going to see some street light options. So we're going to start by trying out this one and also downloading this one while we're trying out this one. Then we're going to place this street light here and we're just going to drag it up using this movement or navigation gizmos in D5 render. So once we drag this up, we're going to drag this up to this point here, and we're just going to start editing some features. So I'm going to click on escape first, then let me just break this second light and see which one suits better. So depending on your taste, you can choose whatever street light suits you better. So I think we should go with this one. So I'm just going to select this first one and delete it. Then I'm going to click on this street light here and I'm just going to drag it up till the base matches the floor of this green area. So the first thing I'm going to do is to edit the material. So I'm going to click on I'm going to select this metallic material and I'm going to make it lighter in color. Then I'm going to reduce the metallic effect, leave the roughness at this height. I can zoom in closer to see the materials very well. I'm going to go to this base color map and I can delete some of these bitmaps, so it will just be plain simple metal. Then I'm going to go back to effect. I think I'm going to make it a bit darker. Then I think this is fine. So I can also go down here and I can turn this, look for this round corner effect, reduce the radius, click on this a luminous material, leave it emissive at, okay, I think the material is fine. Then I can reduce this to 25, then make it warmer. Click on escape, select this group as a whole, go to once we select the group, the street light as a whole is going to be highlighted under the objects tab. So we're going to be able to select the lights that are grouped within it. So I'm going to select one light, hold shift and select the remaining 4. Click on this drop down and change the layer to lighting layer. So we're now going to click on escape, then we're going to click on T and select to access the top view. Then we're just going to select this light here that is now showing multi-layer, because we have two objects of different layers or multiple objects of different layers within the same group. So we're just going to start placing it strategically. So I'm going to hold shift key on my keyboard to just move this here. So I'm getting sick of this auto exposure and this bloom effect, so I can just turn it off and just reduce the exposure so everything will not look too gloomy for me. So now after we are done with this, we're now going to place some bollard light, and I think that is when we'll conclude on the lighting and go into other aspects of the composition. So I'm going to, in the same fashion, I'm going to go to assets and also going to look for some other street lights. So for this, I'm going to go to outdoor. Under outdoor, I'm just going to look for this outdoor lighting category. Then I'm going to see some options. So I'm going to be trying out this floor lamp, and I'm going to place this floor lamp somewhere here. So for this, I'm going to be doing a combination of material, and I'm going to be placing some lighting fixtures. So I'm going to click on I. I'm going to select this illuminous material from this street light. Then I'm going to click on copy to copy the material. So I'm going to place this material here. Then I'm going to click on escape, and I'm just going to place another lighting fixture inside. So I'm going to click on this lighting, close this, click on this and select this point light one. Then I'm going to place this point light one somewhere. I'm going to try to centralize it within the bollard light. So I'm going to go from a top view. I can click on T to get an orthographic view for pinpoint accuracy. Then I'm going to zoom in. Then I'm now going to use my visual prowess to centralize the light. Click on this drop down and change the layer to the lighting layer. Increase the temperature. Then the intensity, I'm going to improve the intensity to 45. So for the attenuation radius, I can increase it a bit. And okay, let me reduce the temperature more. So I'm going to click on P now, and I'm going to look at how the thing looks. Okay, so I'm just going to hold Control and select both of them, and I'm just going to right click and click on group. So I'm just going to group this. I'm going to right click and click on rename. So I'm going to call this bollard 00 bollard light or bollard. Then I'm going to click out. So if you click on this is going to select as a group. So the good thing about using lighting layer now is, for instance, you can see this whole light is popping out of the building. If I go over here and I just click on this off, you are going to see all the lights is going to turn off. So this just gives you much control you need while working in a project like this. So I'm going to click on T, which is top view. Then I'm going to use the same top view and copy this bollard light strategically. So these bollard lights are going to be the ones that are going to appear repetitively around the project. So I'm just going to hold shift and just manually copy each of them. So now we are going to enter the vegetation aspect of the composition. So for this, I'm going to turn off this 2-point perspective setting. Then I'm going to go back to this orthographic view. So for vegetation, I typically start from placing some coniferous plants. So I'll go to assets, I go to model. Under model, I go to nature. I click this drop down, and we are going to go under conifers first. So under this conifers, we are going to be looking at placing some of these coniferous plants along the edges of the site boundaries of the project. So we're just going to click on this one, and we're going to try and control the size. So to control the size, we're going to click on this brush icon here. Then we're now going to reduce the size, this size gizmo, go over to this randomize size too, and once we have done it, we are not going to brush it. We are just going to turn off this brush. Then we're going to place one first. So the first one, we can place it far away here. Then the subsequent ones, we can now place it. That is when this effect that we set will now kick in. So you can see if we click on each one, it's going to just be varying in size. So if you notice, I'm placing them in kind of a rhythmic manner, but not typically straight. But the whole aim is to just create a kind of discontinuity than just using straight lines in placing vegetation, because I believe straight lines in vegetations are unnatural. So we are going to also place some palm trees, and these palm trees, we are going to be using them at intervals within the site and along this access road on the site. So we're just going to be placing some like this. I like this palm here. So we're also going to go to this brush and make sure we try and just use this setup, this size setting at this range here, around here, then the randomize size gizmo here. So we're just going to off it and see, and because it's still going to apply. So we're just going to start by placing one somewhere here. Then we're going to just place some palms in between the lighting fixtures. So we're going to place a few on the side. So we're going to place one here, one at this corner, one at this corner too, and one here. Then we're going to look for a smaller palm, and we're going to click on this palm here. Then we're then going to reduce the size. So we're going to uncheck this, click this again. Then we're now going to be placing these ones here. Okay, let me hit Ctrl Z, place this here. I think I should increase the size a bit. Okay, so now I think we're done with placing palms. So we're now going to be placing some shrubs. So we're going to click on these shrubs. So these shrubs is going to be one of the most frequently used plants in this project. So for the shrubs, we're going to be going with this Ilex vomithria. So we're just going to put it, or did I pronounce it well? Okay, we're going to click on it. We're now going to click on this brush tool. We're going to increase the size to about 75%. Adjust this randomize size, leave it at this low end where it is. Then we're going to click on this brush tool again. Then we're just going to place them at intervals. Click on this and place this at intervals. So we're going to be placing this on some peripherals like this, and in between this green, this plant, this palms and this lighting fixtures we placed earlier. Okay, let me hit Ctrl Z. I have different plans for the peripherals of the site. So I'm going to be placing this one within. So finally, for the peripherals of the site, we're now going to be using this flowering shrub. So for the flowering shrub, we're going to be using this particular one. We're just going to click on this and we're going to just place it. So if you want to reduce time on your work, you can always place this by using this line tool or this draft tool. So once we click on this line tool, we're now going to pick from here, pick to this corner here. So we're going to click on done. Then after doing this, we're now going to increase the number of plants on this part. So I think 50 is enough. Then we're going to increase the size. Then increase the randomize size and also randomize the spacing a bit. Then we're now going to click escape. So now we have done with these ones. Now we're now going to place some special broadleaf plants. So these special broadleaf plants have some special features and they are just going to be at iconic points of the project. For instance, I think placing one here will be very good. So for this, we're going to go back to conifers and we're going to just pick some nice one like this one here that has this nice curve touch to it. So we're just going to click on it and we're going to place it here. Then we're going to click on P to be able to see the 3D aspect of the building, and we're going to place some other colorful flowers here. So we're going to go under flowering shrub and we're going to place some. Alright, so finally we're going to click on T again to access the top view. Then we're now going to place some background vegetation. So this background vegetation are going to serve like as a base for this aerial view. So it's going to just kind of fill up the background. So we're just going to, for this, we're going to go to low poly plants. So we're going to scroll down and look for low resolutions. So the fact that we're going to use this type of green in large amounts means we are going to be using the ones that won't be too heavy on the system. So we're just going to click on this brush tool first. We're going to adjust the size to somewhere medium and at the same time randomize the size to a good extent. Then we're just going to remove this from the brush. Then we're just going to add some of these nice plants here. Then we're now going to just brush them. Alright, so after we have brushed this background greenery, we're now going to go back to this broadleaf plant. So the aim now is we are just going to try and place some nice trees at specific points just to give an effect. Okay, so these trees they'll be able to be adjusted depending on the view. So we can start from trees like this here, this one here. So we can just click on it and try and place it at just key positions here. Can also use some colored ones like this. So the next part of the composition we are now going to talk about is the entourage. So the entourage includes things like vehicles, human beings. So we're going to be placing them strategically in this view now. Okay. So firstly, we're going to go to the orthographic view, which we can access by clicking T. I'm going to close this asset library. Then I'm going to click on this part 2 and I'm going to be selecting vehicles. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to select some nice pro vehicles. So you can see that if you have the pro version of D5 render, you can get some of these amazing realistic vehicles. So I'm just going to select some of these, my favorites here. And I'm going to be selecting about 4 of them. So we are going to now make our selections from the cars we want to use. So I can select this one here, select maybe this off-road truck, select this, and I think about 3-4 cars are enough. Okay, and maybe even select this car here. So now I'm not going to draw a path. So this path is just a two-way drive. So I'm going to click here on this point and draw a path up to this point here. So note that this thing we are doing now will play in when we are starting to create animation. So after we click on this part, you can see the cars already moving. We can now adjust it. Okay, we can change it to single lane drive or 2-lane drive. Then we can even reduce the width because they are obviously crossing this white line. So I'm now going to reduce the width to about 3 meters. So the two-way drive can enter within it. So I'm going to reduce the speed to about 26. Okay, let me make it about 30 or 29, which is fine. Then I'm going to reduce the density just so it won't be too many cars. So I'm also going to scroll down and I'm going to turn on the light here, but I'm going to reduce the intensity of the light to about 6. So now I'm then going to click on this part here. You can see the part is selectable as a whole. So I'm going to click on shift and duplicate it to this second part. Then I'm now going to go over to this second one. Then I'm now going to change it from direction 1 to direction B to direction A. So both of them are going in opposite direction, which is realistic. So after placing this car on the access road, we are now going to place in the cars on site. So we're just going to first be picking some strategic cars we want to use. So we're going to just place, for example, we're going to place this sports car here. We're also going to place some of these other cars just to fill up this parking lot so it won't be empty. of them, and you also have the option to change the color of each vehicle. For example, you can click on the color, change it, switch between colors, add, even turn on the lights of any specific vehicle. You can also place humans in parts. So for instance, if you want to create a part of humans walking, you can click on this part tool, click on character, then you are going to also be open to the asset library. Then what you are going to do is you are just going to go to this search interface and you are just going to type walk. So it's going to bring out all the characters that are able to, that have walking attached to their description, which means they can be animated and they can be used for a part tool. So we're just going to select some of them. I think some of the pro ones give better options. So we're looking at a hotel building. So we're looking at things like component like this. This, we can use this person, this lady as well as this and this. So once they are downloaded, we're just going to select each of them and use them for the parts we want to draw. So we're going to start. We're just going to select 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to select this lady. So once we have selected the characters we want, we're just going to draw a part from the gate. So we can go to T, that is to access the top view, and we can draw a part from here. Up to here. And stop it here. Then I'm just going to click on escape and I'm going to click on P. So you're going to see that the characters, you see a lot of them just walking here. So I'm just going to select the parts. I can close this to asset library. I can increase the speed of movement. I'm just going to select the part and I can edit the properties of the part. So I can reduce the density greatly. The width, I can leave the width the way it is. I can put this direction B or select direction A. Then I can even add more individuals if I want. So this gives a lot of versatility. So I even think I will increase the density here. So now we are done with this. We are now going to add some curtains. So curtains are very important in this kind of project because you can't just have this see-through to see empty spaces. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our asset library. I'm going to go to asset and I'm going to search for curtains. So I'm just going to spell curtain, not curtains. Okay, so I can see some nice options. So I'm just going to download this curtain 15 and we're going to be using it and placing it in these spaces. So we're going to place this curtain here. So after we place this curtain, we're going to rotate it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to edit the material. So to do that, we're going to hit I, select this material interface. Then we're going to select the material which is showing material template foliage. We're going to click on this drop down and we're going to change it to cloth. So once we change it to cloth, we're going to go to this base color map. We're going to right click, delete this bitmap, right click, also delete this bitmap, right click and delete this opacity bitmap. So now we are going to reduce the opacity to 0.65. We are going to increase the fall off to about 0.5. We are going to go to the base color and make sure it's pure white. Then we are going to select this material after we have edited it, click on copy and make sure we replace all the other materials of the curtain. So we are going to now click on the curtain itself. Then we are going to increase the size to about, make this height about 3.3. Okay, I made a mistake, 3.3, not 2.2. Then after doing so, we're now going to drag this to the edge where they close to the window. But we're not going to make sure that, we're going to make sure it doesn't really pop out of the window. We're also going to change this orientation and change this to 270, making sure it's at the right angle. So we can hit T. Once we hit T, we are going to click on this display and change it to wireframe. So by this wireframe, you can be able to see how it does in a kind of an X-ray view. So after doing this, we can now hold shift and duplicate it amongst the spaces. So note that this is only on one floor, but this can serve this way in the sense that after we finish duplicating it on one floor, we are going to group everything and replicate it on the other floor, since the window arrangements are kind of typical per floor. So as soon as we're done copying this across the floor, we're going to close this, click on this display and change it back to colored. Then we're going to click on P. So what we're going to do, since curtain has been added to almost every point of the ground floor, we're now going to do something. So we're just going to select one of these curtain. We're going to scroll down to where we place the last one, hold shift and select all the curtains. Okay, so we're just going to adjust them in a way that they are going to encompass the whole opening of each of the view. And by this we can also increase the size of the curtain to from 3.3 to maybe 3.4. So it's going to fill up where it's supposed to fill well. Okay, so we're now going to right click and I'm going to click on group. Okay, so I'm now going to duplicate this curtain per each floor. So once we do this now, we're going to hold shift and just copy the curtains across the floor. Okay, so I think we have successfully done that well. So now we're not going to be, the final thing we're going to be doing for the composition is now to place some extra stuff like some particles, including basically the particles is to cover birds flying in the air. So we're just going to do that. We're going to go to assets. We're going to click on particle. Under particle, we're going to click on animal clusters. We're going to make sure we click on X to remove that search and just place some birds, some flying birds. Rotate this to the prominent part of the view, hold shift and duplicate it in this view. So now at this point, we can now examine some of the views we have worked on. So we are going to go to this view here. We can select this tree here and just hide it in view and update the scene. Then we can go to this scene here. We can select this fence, hide it in view by just clicking on the eye icon. Select this tree too, hide it in view. Select this shrub, we can adjust it out of the way to this place, then update this scene in view. So for this, we don't need to hide anything. It's just there and it encompasses the whole area view of the. We are now going to place some background buildings, and to get background buildings, you are just going to go to assets. We are going to go to model. We are now going to go to outdoor. So under outdoor, you should see background outdoor. You can see buildings. Okay, so under these buildings now, we can now select some buildings. So personally, since this is not really in a density context, we can start with some small buildings. So after starting with these small buildings, we can import a terrain. So to do this, we can click on this terrain. We can click on city. Then we can just look for any city of our choice. So let's say we want to get Abuja, Nigeria. So we're just going to select it. And maybe we're just going to pick a region. So let's say we pick somewhere here around this Ahmadu Bello way. And we click on section. And we zoom out to just grasp this whole place here. Then we're just going to click on import. So once we've imported this, we can zoom out. We can close this dialog as well. We can hold shift to zoom out first. Then we can now rotate this and adjust this to kind of match our own context we built in. So we can just lower it a bit. I think this is fine. Then we can go to this top view here. And then we can just adjust the site in a way that is going to fit into our own site. So we're going to be using this road as a reference, and we're going to try and match this main Ahmadu Bello road to this. So we're just going to go to this place here, and we're going to go to its orientation, and we're just going to rotate it gradually to this point. Then we're just going to place this here, and I think this matches. So if you now go to this area view now, you are going to see that there is now some context to this. So if you go to this our shot now, you can see some things like this. So finally, as far as the composition is concerned, you can always add some extra touches like flower pots. You can add shrubs closer to each camera view. So you can just go camera to camera view, adding small touches here and there and adjusting things. So you can just go through all the camera shots and adjust things where you want to adjust. So for instance, let's say we go to this shot now. I think I'm feeling here is a bit empty. So what I can do is to go to assets. I can just add some few other greenery just to spice things up. So I'm just going to go to, let's say, ornamental grass, and under ornamental or flowering grass, let me just look for where I can get some nice options. Or let me go to flowering shrub. Then with this flowering shrub, I can then pick maybe some plants like this and just put maybe this here. I can pick this plant here and just put it closer to the camera on this side. Okay, then I can go to ornamental grass or just put some other shrubs here. Let's say I put a shrub here. Then if I close this now, I can click on escape, click on this, click on V. That is to change this to resizing instead of movement. So once I click on V, I can resize each object. Then you can see that this scene is a bit different now. So I'm just going to increase this and resize this too. I'm also going to click on this and resize it a bit. Then I can go to assets. I can also search for little extras like I can even bring in this plant. I think this plant looks interesting. So I can bring some of these plants and place them just at some strategic positions here. Then maybe I think this should do. So now when it comes to the lighting settings, basically the render settings in D5 Render, of course you have been looking at all these views. They are just bright and over lit up. So the render settings is where we come to tone it down and control the effect we want or get the desired effect. So normally I usually divide my render settings into two types, which is the daylight setting and the ambient setting. So I'm going to be going through the daylight setting and ambient setting. I also have a third category, the aerial view settings. Okay, so the aerial view settings can be daylight and ambient, but there is one that is, I would say, is kind of an in-between I usually like doing. So let's start with this view and start with the daylight setting. So for this daylight setting, the first thing I'll usually do is to go to this light layer and just click on this eye icon to hide the light, to turn off the light. So because this is a daytime render. Then I'm now going to go under this environment. I'm going to go from this geo and sky and change this to custom. So after changing this to custom, I'm going to go to effect and make sure I turn off this auto exposure. Then I'm going to go back to the environment. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this sun disk radius and increase the sun disk radius to about 5 point something. Then I'm going to go to this sun intensity, reduce it a bit to about 0.5 or 0.65. Then I'm going to go to this altitude and I'm going to reduce the altitude height to about 20 something for now. Then I'm now going to go to this cloud setting. I'm going to increase the cloud amount to about 0.85. Then I'm now going to go to the thickness of the cloud and reduce it a bit. Then the density, reduce it a bit too. Then I think somewhere, then I can now change the height depending on which one looks visually okay to me. So I think this is visually looking good to me. So I'm going to scroll down again. I'm going to go, I think the clouds is okay. I'm going to turn on this wind setting. So when I'm animating, it's going to be easy for me to transition to animation. Under this effect, I'm going to carry and tone down this exposure till I see fit. So currently about this minus 0.06 is looking fit to me. Well, okay, then I'm going to go back to environment and I'm now going to scroll up to this azimuth and I'm going to change this azimuth and control my sunlight to about a point where the sun is shining, but is like the sun is shining like 10 degrees to the building and is also casting some nice shadows. So once I rotate it to a decent position first, I'm now going to go back and change other settings. So let's say I change it to something like this for now and I stop here. Then I'm just going to hover around this scene 1 and I'm going to click on this update scene 1. Then it's going to update for now. I'm not yet done with the setting. This is just the early stages of the setup. So I'm going to go back to effect and I'm going to start tweaking some things. So I'm going to go to this exposure again and I'm going to just drop it down by minus 0.2, minus 0.1 because I feel the exposure was too much. I'm now going to go to this contrast now and I'm going to increase the contrast to 0.05. The highlight, I'm going to leave the highlight. I'm going to increase the shadow strength to about 0.5253. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to reduce the white balance to about 6100. I'm going to go over to this tint and increase the tint to 0.06. The bloom, I think the bloom is fine. I'm just going to increase it just by a bit. So I'm going to scroll down, increase this vignette amount to about 0.2. I think 0.29, and just increase the saturation a bit to about 0.04. Then after doing all this, I'm now going to click on update. So I'm going to go back to this environment and I'm going to continue tweaking. So I'm going to reduce this altitude level. I'm going to stick around at 20. Then I'm going to just try and keep adjusting the sunlight till I think I can get an interesting effect. Okay, so for now, I'm just going to click on this update view. Then I'm going to click on P. So the effect I want to create now is I want to cast a nice shadow that is going to kind of cover this building's approach here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a porous tree just about at this angle here, somewhere that it can also cast a nice shadow or a desired shadow here. So I'm going to go to Asset. I'm going to go to Broadleaf. Under Broadleaf, I'm just going to look for a very porous tree. So there is one I usually use, this one. So I'm going to click on it and I'm just going to place this here first. So I'm going to click on Escape, select this. Then remember, this is on V. If I want to change it back to movement, I'll just click V again. So I'm just going to use this to increase the size very well first. Click on V again to now change the position of the tree. I'm going to try and adjust the position to a way that is going to cast some shadows here. So now I'm going to go to Effect and I'm going to just go Environment and I'm going to go to this azimuth angle and kind of change the way the shadow is casted. Okay, I think this is fine. Then I can go to this sunlight and reduce the sunlight intensity to about 0.45. Then I'm just going to click on Update. So I'm going to click on P now. I'm going to zoom out and I'm still going to try and duplicate this tree to cause more shadowy effect here. So I'm going to hold shift and just duplicate this tree to somewhere here. So I'm going to click and close this. Then I'm going to go back to this view. So finally, I'm just going to try and go back to environment and start looking how I can tweak some things. So I like the fact that there is some shadow on this ground, but I don't want the shadow to be too overwhelming. So I'm just going to adjust it just by a bit. And I'm going to go to this sun intensity and increase the sun intensity a bit to 0.5. Then I think I can update this scene. So now this is done. I think this is looking good. So we can now go back to this view here and we can now start seeing how we can set up this view to give it an ambient. So for an ambient view, I'll usually suggest you use the HDRI library of D5 render. So we are going to go to we're going to go to environment. We're now going to click on this HDRI. So once you select this HDRI, we're going to click on this drop down and there is an area of HDRI. So if you want to create an ambient effect, I'll usually suggest you use this early morning or sunset HDRI. So let's try and look at how sunset HDRI looks and we are just going to see what it has. So my problem with this sunset HDRI is that the dark parts are usually very dark and the light parts are usually black, but I think this is fine. So I'm going to go here and we're going to be using this sunset. So if you didn't see what I used this one, this sunset 02. Okay, so now once you've set this sunset, we're going to go to Effect and we're going to turn off this auto exposure. So after turning off this auto exposure, you can see that automatically we have already gotten we're already getting a good ambient scene. But the problem with this ambient scene now is that the ambient scene, this background is too dark. So we are going to use some artificial lights to help us throw some light on this background. So now let's go back to environment first. Click on this two-way icon here. So this is the things we are going to be controlling in this sunset. So if you want to rotate it, we can rotate it. But what I usually suggest if you are doing an ambient view is one side should be dark and one side should be lighter, just like the way you have it now. Okay, so you can just adjust it depending on how the thing is, but I think something like this is fine where one side is darker. Then you can now control the skylight. Okay, so the skylight is basically the overall brightness, so we can increase it, but we can now reduce the background. So the background is basically the amount of light coming from the sky. So reducing the background and increasing the skylight will help you get the desired effect you want. So now this is looking like this. I think I like it. I'm going to click on update scene. So I'm going to throw in more light to this background. So what we can do for that is to click on P. Then we are going to select one of these bollard light, hold shift and drag duplicate it close to where our camera is. So if you notice our camera is somewhere in between these two shrubs. So I'm going to put one here and another one here. So if you go back to this view now, you are going to see that this scene here is kind of lit up here around this background, so making this much more balanced. So I'm just going to control the overall lighting. I'm going to reduce this skylight a bit, and this background I'm going to reduce it a bit again, so the ambient scene is just going to be giving it. So I think I like the way this is looking. So what I'm now going to do is I'm now going to go over to this other effect and I'm going to straighten the wind here. I'm going to go to effect. I'm going to just touch this exposure, reduce the exposure up to just minus 0.02. The shadows are fine, the highlight is fine. The slope, the shadow, I can make it a bit darker, 0.51. The warmth, I can increase this white balance to about 6006. Okay, I think this is fine. The tint, I can increase it to 0.05. The bloom, I can increase the bloom amount to 0.3. The vignette, I don't think I need much. 0.05 is fine. So you can see I'm just basically, there's no like setting that is set in stone. Everything is just based on what you need at each particular view. So now I'm just going to update this scenery here. I think I can increase the exposure a bit back to 0. I think exposure at 0 is better. So we're now going to go back to this scenery now, and we're going to, this is our daylight scenery. So we can also right click, copy parameters, and we can copy the effect of a scene and go to another scene here, like this one that is similar to the first view. Right click, sorry, I made a mistake. So I mistakenly copied the same parameter again. So I'm going to right click, copy parameter, click on this view, right click again, and then paste parameter. Okay, so now I can select this now, hide this tree in view. I think you can see how this looks. So I think this is nice, and we can just update this scene. So now let's now work on this area view. So for this area view, I usually like all the things I've done so far in the render to be visible in the area view. So for the area view, I will start by clicking on effect here, and I'm going to be turning off this auto exposure. So once I turn off this auto exposure, I'm now going to go to environment, and I'm going to be using a HDRI. So for this HDRI, I'm going to click on this drop down. So what I'm going to be using is I'm going to be using this cloudy that has this cloud, not cloud 02, normal cloudy HDRI. So once I use it, I'm going to click on this to log back the list. I'm going to click on this two-way icon. Then I'm just going to hide some things. So I want to hide these 2 trees. I used to cast some shadows on the building. I'm just going to try and just hide it in view. Then I'm going to update this scene. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to environment. Then I'm now going to reduce this background light, and I'm going to reduce this skylight. Okay, so I'm going to reduce it to a way that this place is not too much. So what I want to do now is I'm now going to go to this effect, this sun effect, and I'm going to check it on. So why I'm checking on this sun effect is so I can see the shadow part very well. So I'm now going to click on this rotate and rotate this shadow in a way that the building is backed, the light or the sun ray is hitting on the roof, and the building, there is a shadow around the building, like so the lights are going to come out very well. So it's just basically a shadow backing the building, okay, or a shadow rather in front of the building. So all this lights we worked on is going to kind of pop out very well in this aerial shot. So after I've rotated it to a nice position, let's say around here, okay, then I'm now going to go and turn off this sky sunlight, or I think I'll turn it off. Then I'm now going to go to effect, and I'm going to be tweaking some effect. Firstly, I'm going to reduce the exposure to minus 0.04. I think this exposure is fine. Okay, we can always work on the thing in post-production. I'm now going to go to contrast, increase the contrast a bit to 0.06, or even reduce it more. Then I'm going to go to shadows. I think we can make the shadow a bit darker, 0.52. The white balance, I think we can reduce the warmth to about 6,300. The tint, 0.05 is fine. The bloom amount, we can increase the bloom amount to 0.3. The vignette, we can increase the vignette amount. So I think this view is too dark, so I'll just increase the exposure. So I'm just going to update this scene now. So now I think we are done with all the settings. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be rendering scene by scene. So I'm going to click on this scene 1, and I'm going to render this scene now. So I'm just going to tweak some things. I'm going to make the scene 1, since it's a daylight, I'm going to make it more warm. Let me make it the white balance to be 6,600. So I'm going to update this. So what I'm now going to do is I'm just going to click on image. After clicking on image, I'm now going to go over to this custom, and I'm going to change it to, let's say, 3.5. That is my usual size of render. So it's for a high quality render. Then I'm just going to click on render first. So it's going to ask for the location we want to save it in. So I'm going to just find the location where I save the file of this project. So I'm just going to call this hotel render scene 1, and I'm going to render. So depending on the properties of your system and the project and the effect you added, the rendering time can be much more or much less. So for this, my system is showing 1 minute 2 seconds, or approximately 2 minutes if I will estimate. So I'll be right back once the render is ready, and I'm going to be showing you some AI post-production features in D5 Render. Alright, so now our render is ready. You can open the folder and you can check out the render scene we did. So if you open it, you can see how the render came out. I think this is looking pretty nice, even though we can still get some more from the post-production. Okay, so now we have completed this first render. We can always use some AI enhancement by D5 Render. So this is one of my favorite tools in D5 Render. You can always enhance it with D5 Render. So let's start with, let's just click on AI process. So in this AI processing, you're going to see the images you have rendered. So we have rendered this hotel render scene 1. So if you click on this preview now, you can see the render here, and you can see the scene. So what we're going to do is we're going to enhance some things. So let's start with this two. We're going to start with this in painting. So with this in painting, you can add a lot of extras to your renders. So let's start with this vegetation now. So let's say we want to add a more flowery vegetation. Okay, let's say we want to add this one now. So once I click on it, they are now going to ask you to specify vegetation. So I'm going to click on this. It's going to give me the option to select the part I want to add the vegetation painting to. So now you're going to see this kind of blue tab, this blue highlight to select over the place you want to select the in painting. So we're just going to click on it, and we're just going to click on in painting, and we're just going to wait for the magic to happen. So you can see that this is the before and this is the after, and you can just check out the difference between these two scenes. Okay, so you can just see what D5 Render can do. So we're going to add another in painting effect, and we're just going to see what it can give us. This initial option is already saved in your device, so you can always choose to download this one. So we can even add another effect on top of this. So we can click on this in painting again, and we can now change, maybe click on sky, and under this sky we can choose whichever sky we want. So let's say we want to choose this kind of cloudy sky. We select it and click on specify area. So we're just going to select this sky here and here. I think we can hold Control to select multiple times, and let's just select this part. Then after doing this, we're just going to click on in painting again, and we're just going to wait for it to do the magic. Alright, so you can see the effect it has created. So you can see the difference between the before and after. So these two options, or rather these three options we have now. Okay, so what we can do now, we can click on this to the save, and we can save this as hotel render scene 1B. Save. Okay, so the download is complete. So we can click on this one and save this as hotel render scene 1C. So let's open our file explorer and just look at this scene 1B. So if you look at this scene 1B, you can see that it has only the green area change. Okay, if you look at this scene 1C, you can see it has both the sky and the green area change. So this is just the versatility D5 render offers you while using these advanced tools. So you can also go to this initial one, and we can also go to AI enhancer. So this AI enhancer, you can just reduce the enhancement to it. You can click on AI enhancer and it's just going to enhance. So it's creating a fourth option of this render. So let's take a look at this one. So you can see this is the after the AI enhancement. This is before the AI enhancement. So you can see there's more life to it. The shadows are more defined with the AI enhancers, and I think this stuff, it actually makes a lot of sense. So let's look at more options on what you can achieve with this. Alright, so now let's talk about some of these effects here. Okay, so if you click on this effect, we can add some things to our render to just make it even more glamorous. So let's start from this post-production. So we can increase the sharpness a bit, we can increase the denoising a bit. So after that, we can now go to motion blur. So with this motion blur, what we are going to do first is to increase the weight first to about 25, then click on specify. We're just going to select this specify content to select it. So sometimes due to the weight of all this processing, it might take some time. So we're just going to hold control and select the car. So I'm just going to select this and also hold control to select the remaining part of the car. So let's be patient, select the tire. So after all this, I can simply click on save, and it's going to save this image, this effect. Alright, so now you can see we are going to call this render 1D. So we're just going to save this as an option for this render 1. So we're just going to open this render 1D and we're just going to see what it has to offer. So you can see this is the render with the motion blur. I think this is looking astonishing if you ask me. So we can go through some of these scenes we worked on using the D5 render AI features. So you can just see my favorite is this render 1D. I just like the way the effect came out very well. So this is what D5 render can do. Okay, so I love D5 render basically. So we are going to go further and we're going to render the other views, and let's just render them. We're now going to enter animation in D5 render. Right, so I've completed all the renders, so we can just check out how it looks. So let's start from this. You can see this is the initial render, this is the AI version, this is the one with the effect. So this is the render 2. I think it came out beautifully well. We can check out the area view. So this is basically very nice, and I think this work, it fulfilled what I think. I'm very satisfied with the output and quality of these renders. So let's go into animation, and let me show you that even these wonders can extend into animation. I'm going to show you how D5 can seamlessly create stunning animation. So to start animation, I usually suggest you finish setting your normal render scenes. Okay, so we are going to do an animation for this scene, and I'm going to show you how we are going to even animate this vehicle to move and make this a very wonderful animation scene. So let's start. We are going to go over to this tab here, click on this video here, then we are going to use it and create our animation. So normally they have advanced some animation tools for, let's say you want to create some phasing animation, but you can even select between some camera movements to help you if you want to create, but I usually don't suggest that. That is why I'm here to teach you camera options, but I'm basically going to show you what I feel you need to create stunning animations. So let's start. You are going to click on this your icon here, and you are going to reduce your camera movement to be controlled first. So we are going to zoom back up with this our controlled camera movement. We're just going to make sure we try and get the whole building here. Then what we're now going to do is we're now going to create a very simple yet linear animation. So I'm going to go to this clip one that is already here. To create a new clip, you can click on this plus icon here. Then I'm going to click create new clip. Okay, so after doing this, now I'm now going to zoom in forward here, and I'm now going to click on this as a second clip. And then I'm just going to hover around here and click on this icon here to add another clip. Then I'm going to set the timeline between these two shots. I'm going to set it to 5 seconds. Okay, then I'm going to click on this overall shot. Just click anywhere in this blue tab here, or this blue box. Then I'm going to click on this drop down and change this to linear. Click on this and change this to linear. I usually like linear animations, so let's just click on this and play it. Okay, so you can see the thing is hanging a bit because it's playing in real time. Okay, so don't mind, it's not going to be like that. So after doing this, we're now going to go and I'm going to show you how to animate objects in this shot. So let's say we want to animate this car. So what we're going to do now is we are going to use what they call keyframes. So keyframes are basically where the object you're animating is going to be at a certain point in time in this clip. So let's say we want to create a new keyframe. I'm going to click on add keyframe and you're going to see the keyframe will appear here. Then I'm going to move this vehicle back. Okay, so after moving this vehicle back, I'm now going to go over go click on P to exit this perspective view. So I'm now going to click on this to increase the speed of camera. So what I want to do now is I want to straighten this car. So I'm just going to drag it to this position, try and straighten it up here. Okay, so the fact that we're working in this animation, it means that it's not going to affect the actual position of this car in the project. All these changes I'm doing is inside this animation. Then now we have created this keyframe. I'm now going to move to the end of this video I've created. Then I'm going to click on P again and I'm now going to go here and move this car forward. So this is the displacement of this car. Then I'm going to add another keyframe. So it means at this point in time in this video, this car will be at this position. And at this point in time in this video, this car will be at this position. So let's play it. So you can see the car moving. So this car is a bit slow. So the reason why is that for 5 seconds, it moved a short distance. So if we want to increase the speed, we will need to increase the distance the car covered in that 5 seconds. Basic physics, right? So we're going to click on this and we're going to go back to the beginning of the video. Okay, where the car is, I think, supposed to be at this point. Then I'm going to click on P. I'm going to rotate it. Then I'm going to move the car backwards to this position here. So it's going to start from this point at the beginning of this video. Now I'm still under this keyframe. So let's play it. So you can see that the car is moving faster now. So if you want to go back to this normal view, we can click on this icon here to just show a smaller view. So you can switch between. So we're also going to do the same thing for this car. So we can do this for even objects too. If you have a human being that can walk, you can animate him the same way. But I don't think we need to do that. We already have walking part here. You can see in the walking part that the humans are still moving even while the animation is playing. So let's also animate this second car. So we're also going to do in the same fashion, go back to this first keyframe, click on P. Then we're going to select this car here. Let's select this car and add a keyframe here. Okay, you can turn on this rate match. So we are going to go to the end of this video, click on P again, then go to a good place where we can just then move this car to this point here and add another keyframe here. So it's going to be like this. So if you click on this and play this video, you are going to see that this car is moving right behind this Ferrari or Lamborghini, whatever. Okay, so this is basically how to create animation clips. So let's create more other creative clips with some other shots. So we are going to go to this evening shot now and we're going to create a new clip. So we are going to go to this second clip now and we're going to be creating something. So for this clip, we are going to be doing something a bit interesting. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to kind of create a clip of zooming out, since the clip we created was zooming in. So I'm going to just select like this and reduce the camera speed. Then pick this, zoom out. I can hold shift to temporarily increase the speed. Then once I reach this point, I think I'll create another shot. So I'm going to do the same thing. 4 seconds this time. Click on this, change this to linear. So after doing this now, I'm now going to click on this vehicle here. I'm going to drag the animation to the beginning point. I'm going to drag it backwards and I'm going to add a keyframe. I'm going to move this forward to the end, move the car forward, add another keyframe. Make sure I check this rate match. So let's play this animation clip. So I'm also going to create another clip, but this one is going to be close up. So let me increase the speed of my camera movement. I'm going to hit P. So for this, I want to capture a part of this building that I think is nice, which is this approach here, a close-up shot. So I'm going to just try and make sure that the thing is straight. I'm going to make sure that this vertical part is aligned with this. Just make sure it's straight and organized. Then I'm just going to move my camera, zoom my camera backwards, click on Q on my keyboard. So this Q is going to give me this linear movement. Okay, so I can then reduce the speed here. So now looking at it like this, I can now go to effect now, and I can also go here and click on rotate to change the position of the bright side. Okay, so now what I'm now going to do is, once I'm at this shot here, I'm just going to click on add keyframe. Then I'm going to click on E. So this E is basically for a straight vertical movement. So I can increase the speed and stop it somewhere here. Okay, then I'm just going to click on add another keyframe. So I'm going to make this 5 seconds. So I'm going to click on this here, and I'm going to change this to linear. So let's play this animation clip. Okay, so for this, we can even animate this car in this view. So what we can do now is we can make sure that we can make it that is when we reach this region of this building, when the camera comes down, that this car will start moving from this right side. So I just want to show you some more complex applications of animation. So let's go to this ending point. So we're going to click on this vehicle now. Okay, at this point, let's just start somewhere here. And once we're at this point, we are going to move this vehicle to this point, rotate it this way, up to this point, then add a keyframe here. Then we are going to go to the ending of the video, and we're just going to push it forward again. So we're just going to add another keyframe here. So watch this animation play out like this. So you can see the car animated before the camera reached. So we can click on this and reduce the speed. Okay, we can click on this keyframe here, and we can drag it back so the car will start moving earlier in the video. So let's play it. Okay, so you can see the effect. So another thing I wanted to show is how to add environmental changes to your renders. Okay, so let's go back to this clip one where we selected this. So in this clip one, is very simple, a very simple animation, but we can make the sun animate. So what do I mean? So if you click on this first shot, you can click on this environmental setting. You are going to see the azimuth angles as we set in where we were doing the setting. If you click on this second shot, the same azimuth angles are the same position. So if you change the position of this azimuth angle to, let's say, 150, or let me change it to 162, and I just click on this update scene here. If you play the animation, you are going to see that the azimuth angle change ever so slowly because the difference isn't much. So if you want to make the difference more clear, you can click on it, click on environment, change this azimuth angle to about, let's use 165. Why this first shot, we're going to use 152 as the initial, or 151, then update it. So let's play it. So you can see the sun just drastically changing as the animation goes on. So this is another application of animation. So now we have done this, I can now go back to this shot here. I want to do an orbital shot with this evening shot. So I'm just going to change the position of this camera here up to something like this. And I'm going to increase, okay, let me go sideways, and I'm going to click on Q to go up a bit. So let's say something like this. So now you can see this evening shot, this evening scenery of this building. Change this. So we are going to try and create an orbital movement in this animation. Okay, so an orbital movement is just an animation that moves in an orbital manner. So I think what we are going to achieve is going to grasp most of the parts of the building. So I'm going to go to a good starting position that is somewhere here. Then I'm now going to click on this, and I'm going to change this from fly to orbit. Then I'm going to zoom out slowly. I can reduce the speed of this orbit movement, so it's going to control my speed. So I can change it back to fly a bit and just use it to control, get that initial position again if I've lost it. So now we have it now. I'm now going to click on this and change it back to orbit. Then I'm going to add a shot here, a clip. Then I'm going to right click and select this center point here. Then orbit it. Then scroll my mouse up to this side. I think I should orbit it over this green area here, over this grass here, up to this point, and I think it's fine. Then I'm just going to click on create another clip. So I'm going to change this to 4 degrees as well. 4 seconds. Click on this. It's linear and linear. So now let's play this animation shot. Okay, so what I'm trying to do now is in this animation shot, I'm trying to on the light of these cars. So it seems I can't do that here. So what I can now do now is, okay, I can just exit this animation interface, select this car component, turn on the light, ever so reduce the intensity, the same with this, ever so reduce the intensity. Then we're going to go back to videos. So you're going to see this is the fourth shot we are creating. So you can see this is looking beautiful. So another animation shot we can create is an orbital shot, but in a reverse manner. So we can just click on this plus here, click on this here, and go to this second daytime scenery. So I think we're almost ready with the final output. So the next thing I'm now going to do is I'm finally going to now do the area animation. So I'm going to click on this area shot. We've worked on the settings already. Okay, so I'm going to click on this create new clip. So this is going to be the final one. So I'm just going to select this and select this orbital setting. Then I'm going to just click on this point and rotate it a bit here. So I'm going to click on add new keyframe. Then I'm going to rotate it to this point here and add another one. Then I'm going to set the timeline 5 seconds. Click on this, change this to linear, change this to linear too. Then we are just going to play this video here. So we can always animate some vehicles within this area animation, and we can also animate the environment. So let's do it. So we're also going to change the light part from the first to the second one. So we're going to change this from 260 to 280. Then we're going to change this to 270. So we are going to play this. So we're also going to click on new clip, and we're going to do the second aerial shot. So this one is also going to be orbital, but from the rear view. So we're going to be getting this swimming pool area. So one of the final things I'm going to go through all my animations and confirm is that I'm going to confirm that all the animations, the wind setting is turned on. So if I go to this clip 2 or clip 1, I'm going to click on each of these shots. I'm going to environment, and I think the wind is turned on here. Okay. Okay, so finally, I think all these clips are ready. So now we are going to go to this clip 1 now, and we're going to now set the resolution. So we're going to change this to, I usually recommend 2K, but if you have a very strong system and you have the time, you can use 4K rendering. So I'm going to change this to 2K. I'm also going to change this to 60 frames per second to get the best effect. So I'm just going to go through some of these settings, these render settings here, and I'm just going to adjust something. So for this one, I'm going to go and maybe reduce a bit of the sunlight intensity to 0, or I can leave the sunlight intensity, then go to this effect and just reduce the exposure a bit to minus 0.13. Do the same for this. So I think this is fine, and I think we're good to go. So now I'm not going to click on each of these clip. Then what I'm now going to do is I'm going to click on add to render queue. I'm going to select the second one, add to render queue too. The third one, add to render queue. The fourth one, add to render queue. The fifth one, add to render queue. And the sixth one and seventh, add to render queue. So we're going to render all these animation shots in the render queue. So to render this, normally if you want to render the animation individually, you can always click on this render and the normal file explorer will open. But for this, we want to just render everything once. So I'm just going to select, click on all, go to this render queue here. I don't know if you saw what I did. I clicked on this, selected, check this all in this render queue. I'm now going to edit this to check the location. Then under this hotel render, I'm now going to right click and click on new folder, and we're going to be creating the new folder. Is going to be called animation. So after doing this, we're just going to double click on the animation folder, and we're going to select the folder. So we're going to give this a prefix. So I'm just going to call this hotel, and we're going to render this D5 animation. Okay, so I'm just going to click on save and render. All right, so the render has been complete. So let's check out this animation. So I'm just going to select all of them, right click and open with my Windows player. So let's go through the clips. So this is the first one, looking nice. Second one, nice stuff. Okay, so I think this is the end of this video, and as these animation clips are playing, I would like to conclude. So basically, this is what D5 Render can do. Very amazing rendering software. It takes real-time rendering to another level. So what are you waiting for? Go and check D5 Render out. Go to the link in the description to get D5 Render using my affiliate link, and also support the channel that way. With that said and done, also like this video, share with your friends if the tutorials was helpful. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to get notified once new videos come out, because something is coming. Trust me, something is coming. Okay, with that said and done, I'm going to wish you good luck till we see you again in the next video.